Greetings, my cunning audience. Today, we're diving into a skill that's not for the faint of heart, the art of reading people through their body language. Understanding body language is key to understanding people and can give us hints about the person we are talking with. Mastering this craft will grant you the ability to navigate social landscapes like a puppeteer pulling invisible strings. Now, in order to understand how to read people through their body language, firstly, we need to understand how to read context in order to learn about body language. After that, we'll cover the most efficient tips for reading people. So let's get started. Understand context first, learning how to read. When you first approach or observe a person or group of people, it's important to consider their context. For example, are they in a social, business, or formal setting? When observing people in informal settings, you might notice they're less guarded and more natural. For example, you might see someone playing with their hair or sitting with their legs apart and arms at rest. They are feeling relaxed in their surroundings. It's more common to see this behavior in informal settings. When it comes to context, we need to remember where a person is, environment, who they are talking to, one-on-one or in a group, and the conversation's topic, what they are talking about. This will give us factual data that we can use when analyzing somebody's body language and nonverbal cues. Now that we understand what context is, we need to understand what a baseline is and how we can use it to start to a person's body language. What is a baseline? In body language, the baseline of a person is the set of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings that are typical for them. It is how they act in everyday life and in different environments. For example, someone who is feeling depressed might move around lifelessly with their head down. Another example of a baseline is when someone is in a social setting and feels more relaxed and happy. They will use open gestures, smile more, and make good eye contact. Different people have different reactions under different conditions. So to get a true baseline, you need to see them in relaxed and heated situations, as well as in normal conditions. This way, we can also pick out inconsistencies. This is easier said than done, so we need to work with what we have and gather information and data points by analyzing the situation we find ourselves in or the person we are trying to read. The reason we baseline first. The reason we need to get a baseline is to catch sudden changes and questions within the person's body language. Any shift or unnatural change should be an area of interest. It's worth noting here detecting deception is difficult. It can be hard to know if a person is lying by looking at them, and the person may not even tell the lie with words. However, it has been found that small changes in body language can indicate signs of deceit, such as sudden movements or gestures. By establishing a baseline and noticing any sudden changes in an individual's body language, it will be possible to catch or probe a little further into a person's thought process. This is why we baseline someone, to see what changes they're going through so we can spot issues they might not be telling us about, or problems as they arise. Body language is hard to read, but it will get easier the more you work on it. Next, we'll take a look at clusters of information shifts. This will give us clues as to what's going on internally with a person. Noticing cluster cues, nonverbal shifts. A cluster or cluster shift is when we see someone become uncomfortable. You can tell when this happens because they'll have a few different body language movements. We are looking for a shift from the baseline, but not just one or two differences. There needs to be a group of 4 or 5 QS to raise our interest. Example of clusters. Arms down to the side being moved across our chest. A shift in breathing from the stomach to the chest. An increase in blink rate from slow to rapid. moving, sitting up in a chair, or moving around, eyebrows narrowing, and pupil dilation. A cluster shift is defined as a group of clusters, taking place within 5 minutes. What do we do once we notice a cluster shift? When we notice a cluster shift, this is the time to think back on what has been said or done to the person for them to react in that way. For example, if you're a car salesperson trying to sell a car and mention the cost of ownership, and your client sits up straight or crosses their arms, this can be interpreted as them feeling uncomfortable about that particular point. Maybe they don't have the money, maybe they're just coming to look at a potential car. Whatever the reason, it's your job to figure this out or avoid it altogether. When you spot a shift or cluster group, something is happening. That's when we need to take account of the data point and adjust accordingly. Since I picked up this skill, I've become a better observer, and that has helped me to become better at conversations. It's kind of like a secret superpower. Now that you understand how to read body language a little bit, let's take a look at my top 8 areas to note when you're looking for someone for the first time. 8 area of the body to read first. 1. Look at the direction of their feet. In the fabulous book, What Everybody is Saying, Joe Navarro suggests we start to analyze from the ground up. The feet will indicate where a person wants to go, as well as comfort and discomfort. When I first analyze a person, I always look at their feet. This gives me 2 pieces of information: where they want to go and who they're most interested in. I do this by looking at a person's feet. For example, if they are pointing towards the door, then they want to go that way. But if they are in a group of people and their feet are pointing towards someone, then that is the person they find most interesting. I recommend taking a look at body language of the feet, one step at a time, for a more in-depth understanding. The feet are also a reflection of what the person is feeling on the inside. When we are feeling restless or uncomfortable, our feet will often be bouncing around or wrapping around a chair leg to lock. If someone has their feet up on the seat of a chair, it may be because they feel superior to others and need to put themselves in an elevated position. When in doubt, trust your gut. Emotions often appear as micro-expressions in fractions of seconds, so if we feel a certain way, it's probably for good reason. 2. Forehead first. Furrowed brow. Most people look ahead first, then they look at their forehead. The forehead is one of the most visible areas of the body, and one that is visible almost all the time. You can tell a lot about a person from their forehead just by looking at it. For example, if you see a furrowed brow, it could mean they are angry or confused. This is context dependent. I always take a quick look at the forehead in the first few seconds of analyzing a person. Check out what does it mean when someone looks at your forehead for more information on the forehead. See if they're making direct eye contact. Once you have a general idea of how a person feels, take a look at their eye contact. Are they looking away or keeping good eye contact? This should give you some idea of how comfortable they feel around people. Also, pay attention to their blink rate. A faster blink rate tends to mean more stress and PE. Check out body language. Of the eyes, learn all you need to know. For more information about the eyes, observe their posture. The second place I look is at their posture. How are they standing or sitting? What kind of vibe am I getting from them? Are they happy, comfortable, or sad and depressed? You want to get a general impression of how they look to get an idea of what is going on internally with them. Pay attention to their hands and arms. Hands and body signals are a great place to glean information. One of the first things we notice about people is their hands, which can tell you a lot about them. For instance, someone who bites their nails could be anxious. If dirt under the nails suggests they work in a garage, or some kind of manual labor. The hands are also used to express oneself and hide from things one doesn't like. They're also used as adapters and pacifiers to calm ourselves down. For a better understanding of the hands, check out What Does Body Language of the hands mean? Notice their breathing. There are two places a person tends to breathe from, depending on how he or she is feeling. A person who is relaxed will tend to breathe from the stomach area, while a person who is nervous or excited will breathe from his or her chest area. This can give you some good data points to work with in order to tell you how a person is feeling. Check out their smile, facial expressions, and fake smile. You might think that a person who smiles at you likes you, but that isn't always the case. There are true and false smiles that can mean many different things. For example, I saw a manager flash a smile to someone who worked for him. The smile was only a brief moment before it dropped from his face in an instant. A true smile will fade from the face naturally over a few seconds. These are called Duchenne. Smile for more about smiles. Check out. When you're happy, your body language is happy too. See if they're mirroring your own body language. Think crossed legs. Mirroring someone else's body language, in some cases, is indicative of rapport with that person or trying to build it. People will mimic the postures and gestures of others in order to build rapport. For example, if you see someone sit back in a chair and then someone else does this a few seconds later, you know they have synced with each other and built a kind of rapport. Another example would be when one person crosses their legs and then someone else does this a few seconds later. They've also synced. How to read body language. When someone is lying, most people believe that they can spot a liar by their body language. This is not exactly true. People who are lying might display some specific behaviors, such as looking away, playing with their hair, scratching themselves, etc. However, the problem is that these behaviors might also happen when someone is uncomfortable or feels guilty about something. In addition to this, some people are just really good liars, and their body language reveals nothing about whether they are telling the truth or not. It is worth checking out Spy a Lie, How to Detect Deception, and also Telling Lies by Paul Ekman for a more in-depth look into lying and body language tells. If you found this video helpful, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Mastering Mind Control for more insightful content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.